Hey folks, and welcome to Subjective Thoughts. And our comic for today is Mouse Guard, the Black Axe by Archaia. This is the third volume in the Mouse Guard trilogy. Now, there is fighting, violence, death, losing limbs, blood, booze, and death as well in this one. So if you are in any way squeamish, you have been warned. Also, spoilers. Alright, so as always, story and art are by David Peterson. He did everything. I think in every book he had some consultants, but yeah, he did most of the work. Alright, so we're finally here. I finished reading the trilogy. I suppose you could call it a trilogy, the main one. Although, as I have checked yesterday, apparently there's a series with all sorts of Mouse Guard stories. So I'll definitely have to look that up and maybe pick up some, because I really love this universe. Alright, so yes, this is the final volume of Mouse Guard. I think why it took me so long to read it was because I didn't want it to end. Because this is a very fun universe, a very fun story overall. Okay, so let's get started. So our story begins, as always with this, you have the a prologue, then the story, and then an epilogue. So we start with the prologue. It continues 6 days after where the epilogue ended. So you had the epilogue, and this is 6 days later. If you want to know what happened in the last one, just you can find that video on my channel. I don't want to waste time recapping. Also, I probably forgot some things because I did read that one at the beginning of this year. So you'll have to excuse me. Right, so we have Gwendolyn. She is the matriarch of the Mouse Guard, so she's writing all the accounts as always. That's what she's done in the last 2 volumes as well. She tells us what happened, how many days it's been, what they're doing. They're preparing for winter. You can see her wear the dress or gown that Saxon got her in that he left for her in the epilogue. It was very sweet. Yeah, she's wearing it. She's writing the accounts, saying how Liam disappeared. They don't know where he is. And that's about the gist of it. Then we start with the story. We start with the young Kalina. Yeah, Kalina. He has quite a name. It's actually addressed in the story. It's kind of funny. So I start with Kalina. He was, when he was young, he was part of the Mouse Guard. We can see him in the outpost near the beach, where later on we see Sadie in volume 3. In volume 1 and 2, we see her there. So that's where he's post. He lives there. He's building a post in the actual sea itself, it looks like. That's about it. He's about to finish there and head back to Lockhaven. While this is happening, we move to this character here. Her name is It's like in the Alice in Wonderland movie Tim Burton made, from Umbridge. I don't know if it's written the same or pronounced. Anyway, her name is we see her in her treehouse. She's looking at a family tree, looking for something. She goes way down to the bottom where we have her name, and we also have Kalina's name. Long story short, she reaches, with the help of a crow, where Kalina is at his outpost. Before she came there, though, she went to Lockhaven to talk to the matriarch, Browen? Or Browen? I'm not sure how you say her name. Some of these names here is they need to come with an explanation how to pronounce them. We're just gonna call her Bruni. I don't know how to pronounce her name. She's the matriarch. And she goes to Kalina. She lands now. Kalina notices some predators coming nearby. What were they? No, they weren't ferrets. A different kind. Anyway, never mind. Predators. He's about to hide and try to leave the area quietly, but then lands on her crow and calls his name. He gets out, he's hiding in the grass. He gets out and says, he pronounces it Kalina, because she pronounces it wrong. She says Shaladon, and then there's a little add-on where he says, the curse, not the curse, but my parents picking such a difficult old name. So it looks like everyone mispronounces his name. Glad I'm not the only one who got stuck on that. So anyway, he tells her that, and he's like, come on, come to the grass with me. And she says, I need to talk to Kalina. He gets her inside the grass, and, well, she knows it's him. She's not fooled. He said, I need to talk to you. I'm you're my kin. We're family. And then at that moment, he wants to call her Raven. Call her Raven. Yeah, they talk about it. He said, we need to leave. There are predators nearby. And then she calls her Raven, but he's not coming. And he asks her, can your Raven not fly? And then they turn to look, and they see that the animals that he noticed earlier were now attacking the Raven. And you can imagine the massacre that went on. Was crying, and she understands the language of other animals. That is one of her talents. And Kalina says, I can only imagine how it must have felt for to hear what the crow was crying. Because it felt betrayed. She don't really understand. It's not like purposefully led the crow to be killed. She didn't know there'd be predators there. But they got caught on the satchel, or what do you call it? When you put on a sort of fabric. I guess she was holding on to it while she was flying with the crow. And that's what the predators caught. And so they prevented the crow from escaping. So they rip the poor bird apart and kill it. And Kalina leads away. And they go, they try to escape. They see the predators. Those guys are mean. They don't just hunt for food. It looks like they hunt for sport. They're like the predator. They have all these bones and the skin and everything from their victims. Quite the vicious bunch. So they keep going towards the sea, the shore, again to try to escape. And manages to call a duck. A duck arrives and takes them both to safety because these predators can't swim, so they're lucky. They escape, and then she tells them, all right, so we're next of kin. I need you to help me find the black axe that's been in our family. Have you read this? You know that Kalina is the black axe. And in the second and first volume, we meet him there. And she pulls out a letter from Bruni, the matriarch, where she tells Kalina, follow Am's orders as if they were mine. Go with her, you're much more needed for her than for the guard. And, he's going to listen to his matriarch. And also, as we learned, she's his love. He and the matriarch are in love. They're a couple. Oh, that's romantic. Alright, then it's settled. Kalina takes and they go to a mouse village that's a fishing village. It's on this little cliff. Well, what's a cliff to them? And there they get to a ship. They go into this den? Tavern? Anyway, where you have a lot of sailor mice who drink beer and yell profanities. And there, Kalina manages to get them a boat, because they don't really have a lot of money with them. But he manages to kind of trick a young mouse, Connard, there he is right here, to take them. It was like because they're going to an unknown territory very far away. And Connard wants to get a place on the council of... I struggle with that word. Not council. Council of Pirates. I'm just gonna call it the Board of Pirates. He wants to get the title of Captain's Captain like it's been promised to him. So he makes a blood oath with another a captain that if he makes it and comes back alive, he will get the seat that he wants. So it is settled. Connard buys, not Connard. Kalina buys them supplies, food, they ready the ship, and so they start their sail. And it takes them, I think, about 2 months. During that time, they check the birds, and also during that time, Kalina finally finds a moment to talk to about this whole thing. What Black Axe, what is she talking about? Because she doesn't want Connard to hear their conversation. It needs to stay between them. So one night when he's drunk on his last bottle of rum and sleeping, they finally talk. So there's the legend of Farah. He's the one who forged the Black Axe after his family's been murdered by... I don't remember. It was either in volume 2 or 3 that they talk about it. 1 or 2 they talk about it. So apparently, as it turns out, he didn't just die alone after that. He got remarried and had 3 little baby mice. And so his bloodline continued. It didn't just die out, but it continued in secret because he never shared it. So, you see the whole bloodline until it goes down to which apparently has a brother named Ben, and then Kalina. So they are at least for now, 3 remaining kin of the bloodline. And it is their duty to find the Black Axe. And she knows that it's on this island, and she also wants to find her brother. So they continue on their journey, but before they reach the island, there's a storm, and they get washed away. I mean, the waves destroy the boat, but they do make it to that island. Kalina wakes up on it at first alone, and searches for and the rest of them. The ship's obviously destroyed. After a day's journey, he does find She's alive. Her book, you see this one here, is also intact, because it's made of material specifically so it wouldn't get destroyed in water. And so they continue on the journey on the island, looking for looking for Connor too. And then they reach some cliffs, and they see the bones of a mouse down there. And recognizes that it is her brother Ben. And Kalina asks her, "Are you sure?" She says, "Yes, this is the tunic. What's the skeleton's wearing? I made it for him." And there's a bunch of crows around, and she talks to them. But yes, unfortunately, Ben is dead. He's been killed or died by something. Anyway, they continue. until they reach a giant fortress. Well, you know, giant to them for mice. A very nice fortress, actually. Very well done. Nice architecture. And, like, we need to go in there. The Black Axe is probably inside. And first, and then Kalina says, well, I won't be going through these doors. And Am is upset. She says, he is our kin. How can you just give up? And he says, and he tells us, yeah, I know, after they traveled for so long, he probably feels much closer to Am. And he tells her, I was just going to suggest we go under the door instead of through it, because the doors are huge. So they go under the door, and they start to go inside. We see a hall. There's what do you call it? A slab, an altar for fire, and we see also a throne. And then the ferrets come out. A lot of ferrets and the Ferret King. At first I thought might be a queen. And he faces them. Now there's a lot of ferrets and the Ferret King's like, well, hello little mice, you're lucky I have eaten. I've just eaten or else I would have devoured you. And so they start talking to him and they tell him they're looking for the Black Axe. The king opens his, has a little satchel here, and then he pulls out the Black Axe. So apparently there's been a mouse many seasons ago, 5 years ago in their time, that went around telling other wild animals that he's going to defeat the Ferret King and take over and make a whole, repopulate the island with mice. He's like, to Kalina, are you also here to do the same? Your companion looks a bit too old to bear your fruit. Kalina's all pissed off because Am's elderly and also his a cousin? No, cousin? Maybe? Well, anyway, a relative of his. And he tells that to the Ferret King. So yeah, there was this mouse, and he did arrive, and he held the Black Axe, but the Ferret King just grabbed him and ate him, with the bones, clothes, and everything. So then I was like, alright, so that couldn't have been Ben then. He's not the one who brought the axe to the king, over there to the king, because we see his body down there in the cliffs. So things are very tense. Kalina's trying to offer his services for the axe. The king's not interested. But then two ferrets barge in carrying a third ferret, which turns out to be the king's son. Now there's an area there full of thorns and bushes, which the Ferret King leaves for this fox. That's his territory. And the fox is the one who killed his son now. And the king is obviously devastated. He's like, I let him roam free, and he kills my kin, my heirs. And he takes his son's body and burns it on the altar. And Kalina chimes in quickly, let me do this for you, fair king. Let me kill the fox, for your son. And if I succeed, then you'll give me the axe. And the king's like, well, I have nothing to lose. You have 2 days to do it. But he's like, how will I know you won't run away with the axe? Though. And then Am volunteers to stay as insurance. She'll stay there, and if he doesn't kill the fox in these 2 days, the king will eat Am. And so it's agreed upon. Kalina takes the axe. Am insists, let him take it. And he goes out to this, I think they call it a grove. And it goes to hunt down the fox. And now Kalina's not happy about this. He doesn't want Am to do it. He's worried about her. And she tells him, you trust in the axe, and I'll trust in my fate. In you. Also, I forgot to mention, Am's very good at mapping the stars, too. So he goes into this grove and starts looking, wondering how he's going to find the fox. How's he going to fight it? Because he told Am way in the beginning that he's willing to fight one of everything twice, and one of everything once. He's like, how am I going to defeat this creature? The fox, because obviously much bigger. And he's more used to his sword than the axe. But still, he wanders around, then he remembers old hunting tricks of his, and he buries himself down into the soil and waits. But then morning comes, and it's extremely foggy. So he gets out and starts wandering forward until he can't find where his hiding spot is. And he climbs up to get a better vantage point, and then, oh, the fox appeared. Luckily, he doesn't see him. Kalina's like frozen in place. Now, you have an opportunity then to hit him, but he froze from fear. I mean, wouldn't you? Big-ass fox face right next to you. The fox continues on. Kalina realizes it's so quiet. How is he going to notice it? So he goes down and keeps walking, and then he sees a figure coming towards him, and it's Conard. Conard's alive as well. They reunite, and he tells him, well, he omits several details, though, about the whole thing. He tells him, we need to kill this fox so we can get and leave. Also, I realized this around the time where they were on the ship, that Conard actually already appeared in the story, in the first volume. In the future, he's in the same outpost that Kalina was in. He's living there. And for the life of me, I can't remember if he's part of the guard or not, but it's him. I was like thinking, Conard, why does that sound familiar? And not to mention his earring and his weapon. I'm like, holy shit, it's that Conard. I was like, whoa. Yeah, so that's him. That's that Conard. Yeah, we continue. They find some footprints. They follow them, and then suddenly, the fox appears in front of them. So they charge. Conard is helping him. He's also fighting. But then, as he jumps on the fox grabs Conard by his paw, by his bottom paw, with his mouth, and he's struggling. And Kalina decides to take this opportunity to save Conard and take down the fox. So he climbs on the vines, yeah. And he jumps, he's about to hit the fox, but he misses. And instead, he severs Conard's paw. Because when you see Conard in the future, he's missing a paw. He has a wooden a wooden stomp instead. And so yes, Conard and he both fall to the ground, and Kalina's horrified because he severed his paw. He quickly gives him medical attention, takes the place and ties it up to stop the blood flow, and uses his cape to wrap the wound to keep it clean. But it's not over yet. The fox is still there, so he goes. The fox is now angry, very angry, and goes after them more viciously. And Kalina uses this to his advantage, because the further the fox is going inside the grove, the more entangled he gets with the thorns and everything. So after a little bit, he's completely trapped. And Kalina uses this. He climbs up and hits him right in the forehead and kills him. I wonder if he got into his brain, because it looks like he died by one impact. So I think it'd take a little bit more to kill him, like a hit in the heart or something. Anyway, the fox is now dead. And Kalina goes about the job of... he takes out one of its eyeballs. And then we see him down below wrapping it in the remainder of his cape. He and Conrad about to leave, but then suddenly they notice, they turn around and they see the two baby foxes approaching them, two cubs. And then we learn that the fox was a female, and these are her cubs. Conrad starts to say, well, we could finish them off now. It will be much easier. And Kalinov, for the first time in his life, feels compassion towards a predator. Empathy, sorry. And he says, no, they weren't part of the deal. I was only sent to take care of their mother. The baby foxes are so cute, though. I'll show you. I have to show you. They're drawn so adorably. And Kalinov, for the first time in his life, also tries to speak their language, to bark like them. And he tells the baby foxes to stay inside the grove until they grow taller. Because there are predators outside that could kill them as well. He's not sure if they understand him, but they say stay rooted to the same spot. So he takes the eyeball, and he and Conrad go back to the Ferret's kingdom. Ferret King has a name, by the way, but I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it. So they return to the Ferret's kingdom. They presents him the eyeball and tells him, Ferret King, I have killed your fox, and all that. And we see that the Ferret King is not very happy. Has a solemn look on him. And then he moves a bit away from his throne, and we see that Am is lying dead. And at first, Kalinov's full of fury, and he said, you killed her, you didn't honor our deal. He grabs the axe, he wants to jump on the king, and the king says, no, I didn't touch her. I didn't touch her, one of my subjects did. One of his subjects was a doctor. He really wanted to test to see, to look at her species closer. And he grabbed her and he scared her. Keep in mind, she is elderly. And I think that he grabbed her too tightly and she died. She died from her injury. Now, the king did shove a sword inside of him and killed him as well and skinned him, so at least some comfort, I suppose. The killer has been dealt with. And he greatly apologizes for what has happened. He said, my subject did not listen to me. And he presents Kalinov with his skin, with what they skinned him. And so Kalinov is now devastated. As even though they didn't know each other that long, still they gotten very close. And they have a funeral for They send her into the afterlife. They put her in the water. They put a feather in between her paws. And a Ferret King and the other ferrets throw flowers at her. And they send her on her way. So after that, the king promises them that they could live freely in his kingdom there. No one will touch them, at least none of the ferrets. And they'll help them with whatever they need. So Conrad and Kalinov stay away from the ferrets for a few days. Kalinov reads through Am's journal. Conrad is busy making himself a wooden leg or a wooden paw. And after 6 days, Kalinov reaches an interesting part in her journal. The last instructions, so to speak, that Am left. He needs to go to this place back in their own land, in the Mouse Land. And there they could help him. So he tells Conrad, let's return. Conrad's more than happy. They're both wearing the ferret skin too. So the ferrets help them build a ship. Not as good as the one Conrad had, but still a ship with a turtle shell. And with it, Kalinov and Conrad travel back. Now, it does take them a long time, because they take a longer route using the migration of birds. Oh, Jesus, the door got slammed. And also they stop in smaller islands to get more food and other things they need. But eventually they reach there. Connor drops them off where he and had taken off on the dock. Yeah, and Connor, he's very determined. He really wants this place of Captain's captain. He looks at the axe and he's like, if you'd come back with me to show the proof. But Kalina tells him, no, Connor. You mustn't tell anyone about the axe. He tells Connor that this is a weapon that gives immortality. At least that's what Connor thinks of it as. So they part ways. He tells him, I'll come to visit you. And Kalina goes back, after a 2-day journey, he's back in Lockhaven. Now he goes through a secret tunnel, the one he knew about in the second volume. That's how he got to Gwendolyn to help save her. He goes through that and he gets into the matriarch's room through the picture, because Brownie is the only one he wants to see right now after his travels. But she's not in the room, so he goes into the room where the matriarch writes all the logs and everything. And sadly, he finds out that Brownie is dead. 2 days before he reached the land with Connard, she's been killed by a stray wolf. So yes, the love of his life is dead. It's interesting how he also had an affair with the matriarch. And also Saxon has an affair with the current matriarch, Gwendolyn. That's in the future. Interesting. And because the matriarchs aren't allowed to have a... I don't know if they're not allowed to have a romantic relationship at all, or just with the mouse guard. The guard mice. I don't know. Because it's not passed down from mother to daughter. The matriarch just picks a successor for when she passes on, it seems. So it's not dependent on bloodlines. So another thing that he discovers there is that he's been erased from the logs of the guard. You can just see his, when he was accepted and he was given his cape. But that's it. His cloak, sorry. But that's it. It's like he never existed. That's what the files show now. So he's very much confused. Then he looks at Brownie's note again. What she sent him with when they first met. And it looks like she's the one who deleted him from the logs. Because she thought he would be leaving to pursue another destiny. She basically thought she would never see him again. They used the room for the locks to be together. Isn't that sweet? But yes. So now he lost his kin. He's no longer a guard. And he lost the love of his life, all to get this axe. So he makes a journey to this place that told him to go to, and that she left in her logs. And it's a little city, a mouse city, where they have all these builders and blacksmiths, mathematicians. It's basically a whole city of knowledge. And what told him to ask about is essentially a secret order. And he approaches one of the mice there when he arrives to ask about it. But that mouse has no idea. So he tells him, come with me, I'll take you to someone who might help you. Because I have no idea what you're talking about. So he takes him to a mouse that keeps records, I think. That's what his job is. And he tells him, this mouse is looking for this. Can you help him? The record keeper tells him, thank you, whatever his name was. You can go back. I'll talk to this young man, a young mouse. So he talks to him, and he tells him, not many mice. Oh, I forgot to say, they go through the whole city. It's very pretty. It's like, it's kind of like this giant mall, almost. But yes, the record keeper talks to him and tells him, not many, even the mice of our city, know of the secret order. So he leads him down to somewhere deeper in the room he's in so they can talk privately. And he recognizes him. Apparently, Kalina met this man when he was a young mouse. So he tells him, well, if you're here, I'm assuming you have the axe. Kalina fills him in on how has died. And, okay, so apparently the whole job of, but what Farah's family has done for many generations was not wield the axe. Because Farah brought the axe to Lockhaven in the beginning when he forged it, so someone else will use it. And that's what the family's been doing. They were supposed to keep the axe and pass it on to a worthy warrior to use it. And Kalina had a sister, Rosalia. She was supposed to do it, but she died when she was a young mouse. So now it's up to Kalina to do it. He needs to pick a successor and then return to them so they can log a successor in. But that is it. This record keeper was actually there during the funeral of the sister. So that's it. Kalina leaves and he thinks, who can I pick as a successor? Because the thing is, to be the Black Axe, you have to shed your name and your life. You can no longer have a life of your own. You must become a myth, a legend. Because for all this time, there's always been a Black Axe. There's always been a mouse that was the Black Axe. That's how they're all confused in the second volume about Kalina's age. Because is he really that old? Because the Black Axe dates back so long. So he's thinking of who to choose, because, again, it's going to have to be someone that'll give up their life. He's thinking of all these young mice that he trained to be guards, and how they have long careers ahead of them, and one that he trained very well, but he doesn't want to, he's needed as a guard more. And then he thinks of Conard, because Conard went through a lot, and probably, won't take a ship. Because he takes the losing a paw pretty much in stride, all things considered. So he goes to find Conard. He's not in the little boat city, because it's been drowned underwater currently. It keeps apparently when the tide gets up during winter, it just, it's flooded. So he's in a tavern drinking, of course. He has a bit of an alcohol problem. And Kalina doesn't bring the axe with him. He hides it away just in case. And he goes to talk to Conard. Conard's asking him, hey, where's the axe? And the Kalina's like, shh, don't yell. I don't need people to find out. So they begin to talk heatedly. And Conard essentially blames him for everything that happened. Him losing his ship, that's one thing. Losing his paw, because he came back and he can't even go to the harbor anymore. There's a bounty on his head, apparently. Because again, although he does say, even if I brought proof, But again, if he hadn't left, none of this would happen. And Kalina did sort of trick him into it. So... And the more Kalina looks at him, he realizes Conard will not do. He can be brilliant, but when he gets drunk... fucking hell, that door. When he gets drunk, he, he's useless. What is he going to do with him? What is he going to do? What if he leaves the axe somewhere? So then he makes his decision. He's going to disappear completely, because already... he's erased from the records. The love of his life is dead. His kin is also dead. He's the last remaining one. At least for that time, because in the future he dies. So that's it. He makes a decision. He and Kalina start to fight. Well, he and Connard. Connard punches him. He wants to attack him. Kalina doesn't want to hurt him. And he purposefully gets closer to the cliff. He holds onto some grass and purposefully falls backwards. Now, he's safe. He's grabbed, and he also takes a lantern with him when they start. And he drops the lantern, and then he attaches himself to the cliff. So Connard is now certain that he drowned, he fell. Now, it is a pretty high fall, but anyway, Connard is drunk after all. So that's it. He thinks Kalina is dead, and now Kalina is free. Everyone, the last person who knew him thinks he's dead, but that's it. He vows that he's going to now travel, be the Black Axe, until he finds someone worthy to leave it to. And that's it. This is where it ends, and then we move on to the epilogue, where we see it's a year later, it's summer, and we see Liam and Saxon and Kanzi. He came to them again and told them that, he has to hide himself. He tells them the story of how, what Kalina decided to do until he finds someone worthy of being the Black Axe. And so he tells them, so for a year now, since everyone thinks I'm dead, I've been the Black Axe. I've been helping mice and people and all that. And you two are the last ones that know me. Will you keep my secret? Saxon seems a bit hesitant, like, Liam, you don't have to, but Kanzi tells him, of course we'll keep your secret, Liam. And then Liam leaves. Oh, sorry, that's not the epilogue yet. That's the end of the story. Now, traditions seem to be breaking more and more, because in the tradition, Kalina wasn't supposed to become the Black Axe. No, he was supposed to give the axe to someone to be the next Black Axe. But that's not what he did in the end. I mean, he did that, but he himself was the Black Axe for many years, until he met Liam and left him the axe. And in time, Liam will probably do the same. That's why Liam left later, left in the end of the second volume, because that's what he would have to do. He'd have to shed his name, himself being a mouse guard, and just leave. He gives them both his cloak and tells them to tell Gwendolyn that this is all they found of him. So there would be confirmation that he's probably dead. And that's it. They leave. And then we move on to the epilogue, where Liam is lying and trying to sleep, and then he thinks he has a dream, because a raven, it's made out of stars, appears and talks to him, and we learn what happened to Ben. So Ben was the one that was supposed to give the axe to the next mouse, and that next mouse name was Merrick. Merrick, I think. Now, Ben's, who was killed of Ben's? I think Ben's family or friends were killed. I can't remember who it was, but someone close to Ben was killed. And he was angry, killed by ferrets. And he was angry and, full of rage. And he gave the axe to Merrick, who said he wants to go kill these ferrets in a different island, a different land. And Ben was so full of rage that he he probably didn't care as long as some ferrets died. So, but Merrick didn't turn out to be a good mouse. He killed 3 different mice who just didn't want to cooperate with him. One refused to give him a ship. The other one refused to give him grain for his journey. And the third one wouldn't give him booze. And then realized what a mistake he's made. He gave the axe to a tyrant that was just thirsty for blood. So with the help of a seagull, I think it was, he flew to the island after Merrick and managed to catch him before he went to kill the Ferret King. And Merrick has been spreading rumors around to different predators that he's going to, defeat the Ferret King and repopulate the island with mice. And, well, we know how he ended up. But he also is apparently the one who murdered Ben. Ben was trying to convince him not to do it, that it was the wrong decision, but Merrick just killed him. Poor Ben. Now we understand why, his bones were there. Because he didn't, Merrick was the one that was swallowed by the Ferret King. Excuse me. An appropriate ending, I think. And how, and then the bird tells him how the axe should be used for good. But, you shouldn't just, use it how you see fit. Killing shouldn't always be justified with the black axe. Just because it might be beneficial to some mice, you shouldn't always do it. That's about the moral of, I'll read it to you in a second, actually, that would be better. And that's it. That's where the story ends. That is the completion of the main story of Mouse Guard. And it was great. I'm a little sad we don't get more about Liam and the other guards, but you can't have it all, I suppose. I think it was a nice wrap-up. We got to learn more about Kalina, how he became the Black Axe, really, about Ferris' family, about Connard, too. Oh, I wanted to mention this. Now, it's interesting how all these 3 characters died being killed by another animal. Because Connard, he gets killed, he gets ripped apart by crabs. Dies by a ferret, and Kalina... Oh shit, I don't remember. Did I say spoilers? I did. And Kalina gets killed by an owl. So all of them die in tragic ways in the end, which is very sad. What are you going to do? And it's interesting how all 3 of them died like that. Yeah. All right, let's get some art. I already showed the inside without the trade. Without, what do you call it? Without the fucking dust jacket, so I'm not gonna do it again. Putting it on is annoying. Alright, let's start with our favorite matriarch, Gwendolyn. You see, there she is, wearing the dress. Oh, sorry, no, it's spring. Okay, so, yeah. It was already the next year after that. So this is that captain, this is Connard. You can see the pirate mice. This is how they drowned, you see. And this is telling the story of Farah. You see, and that's his new wife and their 3 children. There's the family tree. Yeah. I just realized something. He originally also had 3 children with his first wife. Alright, there's the axe, there's the Ferret King. I love how he looks. Oh yeah, this is all based on the medieval times. It's very well done. So here is the fox. You see the fog? Very cool. There's Kalina. I mean, look how close that is. That would be scary. Let me show you the baby foxes. Fucking hell, that door. Alright, look how cute they are. Look at those little faces. Adorable. Kalina doesn't also want to kill them here because, you know, what's their fault really? They were just born foxes. They didn't want to be born or anything. There we go, that's the record keeper guy. And I'll just show you how they meet. 1 second, there's Liam also. Ah, there it is. What did he say? Ah, here. There we go. The Axe of Black grants you the method to shape the world, but not the knowledge or right to do so by your whim. Exactly. What did they say? They had a good quote about revenge. Where was it? Oh, now I'll be able to find it. Ah, there we go. There it is. This is what ends the story. Death is as powerful a weapon as it is an easy escape. Heroes can pass into legend. Legends fuel new myths. Myths fuel new heroes. Last recorded words of the Black Axe. I think Mr. Peterson came up with that one. Nice. Yeah, so that's it. That was the Black Axe. The story of how the Black Axe started. Oh, alright, so that's it, right? Yeah, I showed some art. That's the cover. I don't like the dust jackets, I will say, but oh, you look behind, you can see the Fairy King. But still, it is what it is. This was great. I'm glad I finally completed this. I will look into those Mouse Guard stories as well, because there is more I definitely like to continue. Would be cool to see, you know, maybe it would have been cool to see some adventures with Liam, but the whole point of it is, you know, the Black Axe is nameless. He's a myth, he's the legend, so it'll just continue on and on. You can also see the tradition be broken again, where Liam actually goes to meet Saxon and Kanzi one more time. Because he's, you know, he doesn't make them believe that he's dead. He tells them his secret. Anyway, so that is it. This was a great story. If any of you read it, let me know what you thought about it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? And that is it. Now remember, collect what you're passionate about and share it on YouTube. Bye!